Good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you for the 49th Foundation Day lecture event. We will start the event with an invocation that is given by one of our staff, Purnima.
ವಿಘ್ನೇಶ್ವರ ನಿನಗೆ ಪ್ರಥಮ ಪ್ರಣಾಮ, ಸ್ಮರಿಸುವೆ ನಿನ್ನಯ ದಿವ್ಯನಾಮ. ವಿಘ್ನೇಶ್ವರ ನಿನಗೆ ಪ್ರಥಮ ಪ್ರಣಾಮ, ಸ್ಮರಿಸುವೆ ನಿನ್ನಯ ದಿವ್ಯನಾಮ. ವಿಘ್ನೇಶ್ವರ ನಿನಗೆ ಪ್ರಥಮ ಪ್ರಣಾಮ. ಗಂಗಾಧರ ಸುತ ಚಂದ್ರಸುಧಾಕರ, ಮಂಗಳ ಹರಿಸೋ ಶ್ರೀ ಶುಭದಾಯಕ. ಭವಸಾಗರವನು ದಾಟಲು ಅನುದಿನ ಸಾಧನವೇ ತವ ತಾರಕ ನಾಮ. ವಿಘ್ನೇಶ್ವರ ನಿನಗೆ ಪ್ರಥಮ ಪ್ರಣಾಮ, ಸ್ಮರಿಸುವೆ ನಿನ್ನಯ ದಿವ್ಯನಾಮ. ವಿಘ್ನ ವಿನಾಶಕ ಬುದ್ಧಿ ಪ್ರದಾಯಕ, ವಿದ್ಯೆಯ ನೀಡೋ ಶ್ರೀವರದಾಯಕ. ವಿಘ್ನ ವಿನಾಶಕ ಬುದ್ಧಿ ಪ್ರದಾಯಕ, ವಿದ್ಯೆಯ ನೀಡೋ ಶ್ರೀವರದಾಯಕ. ಚರಣ ಕಮಲ ನಿನ್ನ ಪೂಜೆಗೆ ಅನುದಿನ, ಚರಣ ಕಮಲ ನಿನ್ನ ಪೂಜೆಗೆ ಅನುದಿನ. ಪಾವನಗೊಳಿಸೋ ಈ ಶಾಂತಿಧಾಮ, ಪಾವನಗೊಳಿಸೋ ಈ ಶಾಂತಿಧಾಮ. ವಿಘ್ನೇಶ್ವರ ನಿನಗೆ ಪ್ರಥಮ ಪ್ರಣಾಮ, ಸ್ಮರಿಸುವೆ ನಿನ್ನಯ ದಿವ್ಯನಾಮ. ಸ್ಮರಿಸುವೆ ನಿನ್ನಯ ದಿವ್ಯನಾಮ.
Thank you, Purnima. Next, we'll have the lighting of the lamp. We'll request the chief guest, director, and board members to do the honors, please. We'll request our Honorable Director, Professor Hrishikesha T. Krishnan, to introduce the chief guest and give the welcome address.
Very good morning to all of you. Distinguished Chief Guest, Ms. Madhavi Puri Butch, members of the Board of Governors, faculty, staff colleagues, students, alumni, and all others present here today. I wish you a very warm welcome and greetings on the occasion of the 49th Foundation Day of IIM Bangalore. As we celebrate this 49th Foundation Day, I would like to place on record our gratitude to the countless students turned alumni, outstanding faculty members, students, board members, dedicated staff, corporate partners, well-wishers, and both the Government of India and the Government of Karnataka for helping us get to this position today. Although the last 2.5 years have been very challenging for everyone, I am happy and proud that IIM Bangalore has been able to sustain its commitment to excellence during this period. And for this, our thanks and gratitude go to everyone who is present here. I would like to take this opportunity to share with you some of IIM Bangalore's milestones and the highlights of the successes and major accomplishments in recent months since the convocation, that is, since April. As required by the IIMB Act, IIMB underwent an external review recently. The review team consisted of Professor Shekhar Chaudhary, former director of IIM Calcutta, Mr. N. Krishna Kumar, co-founder of Mindtree, and Professor Raji Srinivasan, Sam Barshup's Centennial Professor of Marketing, University of Texas, Austin. In its report, the committee had several nice things to say about our institute, and I'd like to mention just two. IIMB has established itself as one of the leading institutes for management education, not only in India but also internationally. And IIMB's design of its various programs, including their content, is broad, current, and leading the frontiers of management education. The report is available on our website. We thank the review committee for their valuable recommendations, and we will see how best we can adopt many of them. IIMB has a strong commitment to building management capabilities in sectors of the Indian economy where they are badly needed. In keeping with this objective, in July this year, we launched the Professional Certificate in Hospital Management, a 12-month online program on our MOOCs platform. This was inaugurated by the Health Minister of the Government of Karnataka, and he appreciated our efforts to address the need for well-trained healthcare professionals in the country. The Institute has a strong commitment to sustainability. We already have a good rainwater harvesting system, generate a part of our energy needs through solar power, have an active waste recycling system, including using the biogas generated to run our canteen, and have a green and biodiverse campus. In recent months, we have created a sustainability task force under the leadership of Professor Harita Saranga to take this further. New initiatives include a campaign to reduce paper consumption, enhance the generation of solar power on campus, measure, monitor, and reduce our carbon footprint, and strengthen the rainwater harvesting system. In this context, I am happy to mention that we feature in the top category, that is level 5, in the Positive Impact Rating 2022, winning global recognition as a pioneering school. IIMB has performed very well across all 7 dimensions, from governance to student support to public engagement, which were measured in the survey. In August, we had several special programs and activities to celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 years of India's independence. We hosted discussions on the theme, India, Pioneering Past and Bright Future, on the 15th of August. We also had an Independence Day run and Desh Rag, a classical music concert, which highlighted the diversity of our country. We also had the opportunity a few months ago to have the External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, on campus. He addressed the students on Atmanirbhar Bharat and also spent some time going around the campus. This year, IIMB is the convener institute for the Common Admission Test, CAT, with significant enhancements to the processes related to outreach and registration for the test. There has been an increase of 11% in overall registrations and a 6% rise in registrations among candidates from the reserve categories. The student-centric changes include digital campaigns, test centers in the Northeast, 2 payment gateways, a non-IIM registration facility, and much more. The beautiful campus, of course, is our pride and joy, and I'm delighted to share that the architect, Dr. B.V. Doshi, won yet another honor this year, the Royal Gold Medal in May. Our centers of excellence continue to host a variety of activities, many of which are very interesting and path-breaking. Just quickly mention a few of them. The Center for Capital Markets and Risk Management hosted webinars for World Investor Week 2022. The Center for Corporate Governance and Citizenship organized a capacity-building workshop on entrepreneurial leadership and governance for NGO leaders. Apart from conducting the annual International Conference on Public Policy and Management, the Center for Public Policy launched a series of inequality conversations with policy experts from across the world. And all these speakers are looking at inequality from very different dimensions to give us a multidimensional perspective of inequality. The Supply Chain Management Center, in collaboration with Tagbox Solutions and NASSCOM, hosted a conference on maintaining safety and quality in perishable food supply chains using technology. The Center for Management Communication had a very interesting event around climate change and how the media reports it. The Center for Software and IT Management has been hosting a series of webinars by research scholars who are publishing in the top IS journals. The Center for Teaching and Learning launched the Samiksha series of webinars. And the Mizuho India-Japan Studies Center celebrated its 5th Foundation Day recently. In addition, many of the academic departments have been organizing regular online seminar series. One thing that the pandemic allowed us to do is to reach out to some of the top academics across the world, whom perhaps we could not access earlier. And many of these seminar series feature many of these top speakers. I'm also happy to inform you that Vikasana, the student club that works on social initiatives, facilitated scholarships for children of the IMB community. In August, 194 children of the staff of IIM Bangalore received merit and need-based scholarships amounting to rupees 9 lakhs, and members of Vikasana facilitated the entire process. We've had another good student events in recent months. The PGP EM students organized Pahel, a cultural event with a focus on celebrated Make in India couture labels. PGP events Eximius and Vista and the EPGP Business Conclave were well attended and studded with outstanding speakers and panels. As an institute, IMB seeks to enhance its impact through partnership and collaboration. Let me mention a few of the important partnerships and collaborations we have launched in recent months. We have taken up a project on water management and sustainable agriculture under the guidance of Professor Gopal Nayak, who was recently appointed the Jal Jeevan Mission Chair Professor, and he is, of course, a professor in the economics area. The institute is working with the Department of Social Welfare and the Department of Scheduled Tribes Welfare, Government of Karnataka, to support SC/ST women graduates in developing their skills as entrepreneurs. This is an addition to the bouquet of women entrepreneurship programs we have at IMB. One, of course, works with Goldman Sachs to help women entrepreneurs who have already established take their enterprise to the next level. One with Kotak Mahindra Bank works with early stage women startups. And we did a very pioneering program with the National Commission for Women last year, where more than 6,000 women enrolled for an online entrepreneurship course, and about 1,500 completed it. The Center for Corporate Governance and Citizenship has signed an MOU with the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs for research work and education and training projects and publications. And another interesting initiative recently launched by the Supply Chain Management Center is with the NCRTC, that is developing the rapid transport system for the National Capital Territory region. And the Supply Chain Management Center is going to be a kind of knowledge hub for this particular activity. An important dimension of our mission is to nurture innovative global business leaders, entrepreneurs, policymakers, and social change agents through holistic and transformative education. I am happy that our rankings, global and national, provide some testimony that our efforts are bearing fruit. 3 different program formats leading to the award of the MBA degree: our flagship 2-year postgraduate program, the 1-year full-time executive postgraduate program EPGP for more experienced participants, and the weekend postgraduate program in enterprise management PGP-EM are all ranked in the top 100 in the FT rankings in their respective categories. And in fact, PGP and EPGP are usually in the top 50 as well. I would like to make a particular mention of our 31st rank for PGP in the FT MIM rankings, which make our PGP the highest ranked 2-year MBA program from India in the FT rankings. Our programs have consistently featured in the top 3 in India and the top 50 globally in other business rankings as well, including the Bloomberg Best Business School ranking, the FT Executive Education ranking, the QS MBA ranking, and the QS World University rankings by subject, where we are in the top 100. So all these rankings, of course, are an important motivation for all of us, though certainly that's not what we are always shooting for. Our faculty continue to do us proud. I will just share some of the recent accolades and achievements. Professor B. Mahadevan has been selected by the Ministry of Education as part of a high-powered committee on Indian knowledge systems. You will all recall that Professor Mahadevan is the lead author of the book, Introduction to Indian Knowledge Systems, Concepts and Applications, which was released earlier this year, and is perhaps the first comprehensive book which gives an introduction to Indian knowledge systems for college students. The Indian adaptation of the classic marketing management book by Philip Kotler has been co-authored by our colleague Professor G. Shainesh. Professor Alan Ugargol received the ICMR Professor Surinder Mohan Marva Award for his research work in the field of aging and geriatric care in India. Professor Dinesh Kumar co-authored 2 books this year, Machine Learning Using R and Data Visualization, Storytelling Using Data. Professor Damodaran's book on managing arts in the time of the pandemic has received critical acclaim. Professor Gopal Das, faculty in the marketing area, has been featured in the list of the world's top 2% researchers published by Stanford University recently. And SEBI has reconstituted its research advisory committee, which is in charge of promotion, development, and maintenance of databases necessary for capital market regulation research. Professor V. Ravi Anshuman, chairperson and faculty in the finance and accounting area, and also a non-official member of the SEBI board, is heading this panel. I would also like to mention a few of our important student accomplishments during this period, and I certainly would like to give full credit to our students for managing an amazing portfolio of activities. I mean, in addition to all the academic expectations we have of them, they participate in a huge range of external contests, often very successfully. And when I speak to them, I'm just amazed by the amount of energy and ideas and everything they're able to bring into all these initiatives. A PGP EM student, Ritu Rawat, is one of the winners of the CX Exo Spirit Award at No Ceiling Limit 2022, which supports female founder CEOs in India. PGP and PGP BA students Siddharth Parmar, Pallavi Bagul, and Sakshi Yadav won the second place at the Governance Challenge, which is India's first national governance case competition for 25 premier business and public policy schools. They recently received the award from the Chief Minister of Haryana, Shri Manohar Lal Khattar. Anant Ashutosh Sharma of PGP was the national winner at the Commonwealth Games 2022 at Birmingham in lawn bowls. I think this happened actually before he joined here as a student, but I think we're happy to celebrate this as well. 5 students of the 2021-23 batch of PGP and PGP BA, Jatan Vyas, Nishant Singh, Mridul Surekha, Puranjay Singhal, and Venkatraman M, received prestigious scholarships for their dual degrees and term exchange programs in France. EPGP students Adarsh Unni, Rigved Marathe, and Arjit Bhatta were first runner-ups in Master Plan Idea Central, a business plan competition organized by IIM Ahmedabad. Our doctoral student Pragati from the economics area has been selected for the GLO Virtual Young Scholars Program 2022-23. And PGP students Stuti Sharma, Tamogna Mehtra, and Saumil Sonara were the national winners at the Publicis Sapient Product Spotlight 2022. There are actually, I suspect, many more, but these were the ones we were able to compile together for today's talk. At this point, I want to address the alumni community of IIM Bangalore. Starting in 1976, when the first batch of PGP students graduated, the alumni community has grown to over 20,000 members in strength, spread across all parts of the world, coming from our doctors, masters, and long-duration executive education programs. Our alumni have truly embodied the IIMB motto, Tejasvi Navadhi Tamastu, and have contributed immensely in terms of nation building, industry leadership, globalization, and contribution to the society. On the occasion of this 49th Foundation Day, I would like to share with all of you, and particularly with our alumni, that we will be rolling out a host of events and engagement opportunities for you to rekindle your special bond with the Institute during the next year, leading up to our 50th anniversary celebrations in October 2023. We will have something for you to participate in each of these months: industry summits highlighting alumni achievements, an exclusive alumni sports summit on campus, a 24-hour IIMB jam session. These are some of the events that are planned. The strength of the IIMB community lies in how well knit it is, and to further nurture this bond, we are also launching a special alumni referral scheme where alumni would be able to identify their fellow alumni who have lost touch with the community and bring them into the fold. One of my dreams is that during this Golden Jubilee year, we will be able to some way or the other reach out and contact every alumnus who has graduated from this institute, and this is one effort in that direction. Of course, the institute itself will be organizing a series of academic and other events to commemorate the Golden Jubilee. We plan to release 2 books, one on the institute's unique architecture and the other on our flora and fauna during this year. We have built a strong archive of historical material on the institute, and we hope to have some of this captured in a film that recounts the IIMB story. In conclusion, let me just mention that several steps have been taken over the years to meet the vision set for IIMB. These include, of course, hiring outstanding faculty, enhancing the quality of research, emphasizing internationalization, consolidating the financial position of the institute, expanding activities in the field of entrepreneurship in both research and mentoring, scaling up in terms of student intake in all our programs, deepening engagement with the alumni, improving infrastructure, and improving administration and governance. IIMB aims to provide the best management education to its students, to advance and support important national initiatives, and to enhance the institute's position globally. I invite all of you to participate along with us in this exciting journey as we go forward. Let me now take this opportunity to once again welcome our chief guest for today and introduce her to all of you. Ms. Madhavi Puri Butch assumed office as the chairperson of the Securities and Exchange Board of India on 2nd March 2022. She has served as whole-time member SEBI earlier from April 2017 to October 2021, and in that role headed various departments in SEBI. Prior to joining SEBI, she has rich experience in financial markets and banking for over 3 decades. She served as a consultant to the New Development Bank in Shanghai, head of the Singapore office of the private equity firm Greater Pacific Capital, managing director and chief executive officer at ICICI Securities Limited, and executive director on the board of ICICI Bank. She has also served as a non-executive director on the boards of various companies. Ms. Butch holds an MBA from the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and is a graduate of mathematics from St. Stephen's College, New Delhi. I would just like to add that under the leadership of Ms. Butch, SEBI has not only been tightening regulation of the capital markets, but also laying the foundation for appropriate regulation of the markets in a modern digital economy, which is a big challenge just looking around at all the changes that are taking place around us. So welcome, ma'am. Good to have you with us this morning. I would also like to welcome our 2 board members who are with us today, Mr. M.D. Ranganath and Ms. Kalpana Saroj. Mr. Ranganath is currently the chairman of Catamaran Ventures, and many of you would know that for several years he was the CFO of Infosys. And Ms. Kalpana Saroj is a prominent industrialist and has a lot of new projects on her plate right now. So thank you very much, both of you, for being with us. And once again, let me welcome all of you. And certainly we look forward to an exciting year to celebrate the 50th anniversary. And also, of course, not to forget to remain focused on our mission to build an excellent institution. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. I will request Mr. M.D. Ranganath, our board members, to address the audience.
Ellarigu namaskara. A very warm welcome to all of you for the 49th Foundation Day, and very warm welcome to our beloved SEBI chairman and my dear friend, Madhavi Puri Butch. Rishi has already covered a lot of activities and the vision for the Institute and the plans for the Institute in great detail. And more importantly, I know you're all here to eagerly listen to our beloved SEBI chairman, so I'll keep my address very short. I do believe that we are at the cusp of a very, very milestone event in the history of this institute, which is the 50th year since its founding. Well, what a journey it has been. I do believe that it can be a very clear case study how an institute has very successfully adapted to changing external environment and excelled in doing so. You would all recall when it was founded in 1973, Bangalore was the epicenter of public sector enterprises. BEL, HMT, BEML, HAL, you could name at least dozens of public sector enterprises based in Bangalore. So naturally, the focus of the institute was clearly on the public sectors, the public policy, and so on. And over the course of last 50 years, the Bangalore has changed, the city has changed, India has changed, and Bangalore now is really the hub of global innovation, not just in technology, every part of entrepreneurship and innovation. And it's great to see how the institute has morphed itself to be a great player in this ecosystem. To just name a few, way back in 2000, I think. Way back in 2000, it was the first institute to set up Entrepreneurship Center, NSR Cell. Then it was the first to set up a PGP course on software management. It was the first to set up a public policy, center of excellence, and so on and so forth. More importantly, it also kind of capitalized on its location here in Bangalore, the epicenter of the innovation, and interacted very closely with the industry in kind of developing new courses, focusing on research. For example, I met Rishi more than 20 years ago when he used to come to Infosys to look at the focus on the product and the innovation from India. So in a nutshell, I think it has been a great journey, and it is an excellent example of how an institute can morph itself. I come from IIM Ahmedabad, and I'm sure many on the stage, both Madhavi as well as Rishi, it is always a bitter pill for us to swallow when we see the ranking of IIMB always higher than IIM Ahmedabad. But nevertheless, I think we're very proud of it, being associated with IIMB. Now, I think the board has been kind of very, very focused on a couple of things. One is, how can this institute be relevant for decades to come, as it has been in the past? I think for the competition for IIM Bangalore is not just the institutes in India. It has to compete for talent, whether it is for teaching talent or even students, and even for the companies who come here to collaborate and kind of hire talent with the global institutes. It's no more just India, it's on the global map. So the endeavor of the board has always been to kind of challenge how the institute could really stand up for global competition. And you will also be very happy to know that another beautiful campus just like this is coming up about 25 kilometers down this road. Karnataka state government has been very kind to give a large and beautiful piece of land. And hopefully the next foundation day we'll celebrate in that campus. So that campus really is going to focus again on the undergraduate course on liberal arts, which is the first for any IIM to start with, because we have had globally excellent business schools or even the law institutes, engineering colleges, medical colleges, but not really in the liberal arts. I think that's again, the institute is laying a very strong foundation in that journey. So I am very happy that we're getting into the 50th year and the second 50 years decade of innovation and excellence for this institute. And thank each one of you for being here today and to celebrate this great Foundation Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. M.D. Ranganath. We will request our chief guest to deliver her address, please.
So very good morning to all of you. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's very nice to see many friends in the audience. And as Ranga said, I am a wee bit envious. You know where I come from. Not only because you have such a beautiful and green campus, but because you keep beating us in the ratings. But having said that, it's wonderful to be here. And I'm going to use this opportunity to share a few thoughts about data and technology in the capital markets. You might be surprised by the nature of my presentation, but it's a reflection of how I feel about it. And the very first slide is, this is how I feel about it. You know, every morning I wake up and I'm looking forward, sorry, it's the sari. Were never designed for women. No, don't. Okay. Perfect. So this is literally how I feel every morning about going to work. I'm all excited, and it just feels like so much fun every single day. And the reason for that is very, very simple. Those two words, data and technology. You know, having spent 2 decades, more than 2 decades in the corporate sector, the two things that were always a constraint in any decision and in any plans going forward was, yaar, data nahi hai. Okay, we don't know how to take this decision. We don't have enough data. Now, when you're the regulator or in the government, you ask for it and you get it, right? It's as simple as that. So usually the data is available. If it is not, well, it will be. So it's just so magical to wake up and every morning and to know that you have literally at your fingertips as much data in as granular a detail as you need and as wide as you need, as deep as you need to assist you in everything that you do on a daily basis and to really use that to transform what you are doing. So it's just magical. The second thing, which is of course hugely enabling, is tech. Now, everyone's talking about tech, and to me, it's not just tech for the sake of tech. It's tech because of what it can do and the wonder of what it can do. And that is what is really captured in this little slide. And I will end with this slide as well after I've shared with you some of the stories of what we've been doing in SEBI in this area. So, of course, first focusing on data and data analytics and what it can do. As you know, one of the things that SEBI worries about a lot is what is happening in the market, the misconduct in the market. Front running, insider trading, etc. These are the things that make the headlines. Now, in the past, we had to depend on, some imported software, some black boxes, and, they tell you that, this is going to give you alerts, etc. And we found that it was just not working for us. And we decided about 4 years ago to start building this for ourselves ground up. Now, being a government organization, we had a lot of limitations. You cannot do lateral hiring. You have to, if you want to give a contract to anybody, you have to go through, months and months of RFPs and L1s and all the rest of it. And it's just so difficult. But guess what? Given that we had all of those constraints, we just decided we're going to do this in-house. And we assembled a team of relatively young officers who put together the most amazing algorithms that I have seen ever across my 25 years of my career. So today when we look at the data and we look at the algos and we look at the alerts, it's magical. Because you can look at the data and say, here's this guy, look at his trading pattern, that's insider trading. It's as simple as that. In fact, in one of the orders, in SEBI we pass sort of like quasi-judicial orders, we actually embedded a QR code in there, and this was quite radical for a legal order, which is quasi-judicial in nature. We embedded a QR, and why did we put it there? Because in that QR, when you scanned that QR, you saw a video clip, which was a clip which showed the delta positions of this particular individual across various scripts over time. And what it showed was that his normal trading behavior in the normal course was he was investing in half a dozen scripts, 1 scripts with this much delta, coming along, chugging along quite systematically and predictably. And suddenly, just before the quarterly results of a particular company, zoom! His delta position in that particular stock shot up by orders of magnitude. And 2 days after the results, boop, back to the bottom. Next quarter, same thing, boop, boop. Now, you look at that film and you say, this is insider trading, boss. This cannot be anything else, right? So when you have the power of that data, and more importantly, you have the power of visualization. And I keep telling my colleagues in SEBI, never underestimate the power of the visualization. Because at the end of the day, the analysis is for you. But when you have to use that analysis to convince other people, your best friend is a good visualization. So we use data in our surveillance. This was an example I gave you of insider trading. We have similar algos for front running. You know what front running is, right? There is some mutual fund fellow or some broker who knows that a big trade is coming into the market, and he front runs that trade. Now, I was at a conference recently which was hosted by IOSCO, which is the association of all the securities regulators across the world. And when I was sharing, over the breakfast table with somebody that our algo is able to detect whether the front running is happening at the mutual fund or at the broker end, they said, no, how can you know that? And it's actually really simple. Because if the trades of the same mutual fund are being front run, it's obvious that the leak is at the mutual fund. If the trades of multiple mutual funds are being front run, it's obvious that the leak is at the broker end. Now, it's very, very simple, and this is not even, fancy big data stuff and all. It's just simple algos written by young people who just love their job. And with this, the kind of power that SEBI has been able to harness in order to identify misconduct in the market has been just amazing. Of course, we've had our setbacks because the regulation has not kept pace with technology. And we're now busy trying to fix the regulation because the regulation does not support what the technology now is able to do. But we think that we'll get there in a few months. So it's this richness of the data. It is what it can do for you. It is what it can do for the market. And it's just so much fun doing it. Apart from looking at data for surveillance point of view, we rely a lot in terms of data on in terms of filings from various entities, right? All listed entities have to do various filings with the stock exchanges so as to ensure that there is no information asymmetry, right? A market, the fundamental premise that a market is efficient is based on the premise that everybody has the same information and there is no information asymmetry. And I would like to recount an interesting example actually happened in the committee which now Professor Ravi Anshuman will be chairing, where we were having this conversation with all the stakeholders and we said, the following things now need to be reported in XBRL format. And there was huge resistance. And I didn't get it. And I said to them, but you're already reporting it. What is your problem? You just need to convert it into an XBRL file. We'll even give you a utility to convert it. So, problem kya hai? Until one of them said, up until now we were filing PDFs. And we were so sure nobody is going to look at it and nobody is going to analyze it. Now you're asking us to report it in XBRL format. There will be 50 analysts who will look at it and another 50 who will report on it, and the media will pick it up every single quarter. So now we don't like it. Now, this is the power of data, right? And this is what, as I said, why we love our jobs in SEBI, because with this, just this tweak, and one may argue it's just by stroke of a pen saying, henceforth all filings will be in XBRL. You change the way that data is presented to the public and the way in which the corporate sector is expected to be responsible in terms of their reporting. So it's just wonderful. Go on to something called what we call SupTech. SEBI has been sort of very focused on using technology for supervision. What does that mean? It means that, for instance, if we had to do an inspection, right, because all of you, trust that the system works, you trust that the regulator is supervising the entities that you're dealing with, whether it is a broker, whether it is a mutual fund, etc. So we have a duty to supervise and to inspect to make sure that everybody is following the rules. Now, in the past, historically, the kind of inspections that were done were really sort of Baba Adam type inspections, right? A team of auditors will show up, they'll do some sample check, there will be some manual, assessment, and there will be this huge fight between auditor and auditee on interpretation of the law. And 1.5 years later, you will get a report, and then there will be, some action you will take on that. So we figured, this is really not on, right? I mean, in this day and age, we cannot be living in this century and doing this Baba Adam style inspection. So what did we do? So again, an example from the mutual fund industry. We started to collect the data from all the mutual funds. We have about 44 of them, so not such a challenge. So remember, if you don't have the data, ask for it, you get it, right? So we're good, we're lucky. The data started coming, and we developed, and we told the industry that we are going to develop the following 80 algorithms, and here is the logic for those algorithms. This is our interpretation of our laws. The algo manifests our law. Many of my colleagues were quite upset. They said, "Madam, why are you telling them? Now they will, clean up their act." I said, but that's the whole objective, right? So the objective of the regulator is not to catch people doing bad things. The objective of the regulator is to prevent people doing bad things. So we declared that we are now going to make these 80 algos. Here is the logic. And if you know what's good for you, go out and build these algos yourselves and figure out what we are going to find 3 months down the line and go and fix it. And indeed, that is what happened. So today, the way that the inspections are happening in mutual funds. So literally, it could be on a daily basis, but we choose to do it on a quarterly basis because we want to give industry the time to find their own mistakes first and fix them instead of showing up every day. So we collect daily data, but we run it every 3 months. And when we do that run, at the end, each mutual fund, each of the 44 funds, gets an Excel sheet. Each Excel sheet has multiple tabs relating to various regulations of ours. If you open the tab, it will tell you, on such and such date, you did such and such transaction, which was violative of such and such section of our regulation, and this is the penalty amount for it. 100% audit of every single regulation, every single data point could be done daily. We choose to do it quarterly. Now, this is only the beginning, because this is as my young team says, "Ma'am, this is the easy stuff." So what's the tough stuff? The tough stuff is where you have to try and find violations of the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law. So far, all of these 80 algos are all violations of the letter of the law. Your portfolio, single issuer exposure should not be more than 12%, single group exposure should not be 25%. This is all structured, it's really easy to do this. But the really fun stuff comes, how do you catch mis-selling? There's no formula to catch mis-selling of schemes. So if an 89-year-old person is being sold a 9-year fixed maturity plan, that's pretty obviously mis-selling, right? But life is not that simple, it's fairly complex. So how do you develop algorithms which are going to help us catch this violation of the spirit of the law and not just the letter of the law is what we are engaged with at the moment. And hopefully, in a few months, we will have something to show for it. So SupTech also a lot of fun. We then come to the issue of technology. This was all about data and how we use it. Now about technology. What is our thinking? What is our approach when we look at what should SEBI do in this wonderful world where technology is everywhere and it's just available for us to harness its power? So one of the biggest things that a regulator worries about is risk, right? So the first thing we did in terms of changing the way the market adopts technology. The first one was about how we in SEBI adopted technology. This section is about how the market adopts technology. And as you can imagine, I have Mukta sitting here who will tell us that organizational behavior and to bring change in any organization is really hard. But again, we guys are lucky, right? Because we are the regulator. We make a regulation, everybody has to follow it, whether they like it or not, right? So when we say that this has to be the new technology that has to be adopted, so what do we mean? So for instance, about a year and a bit ago, we implemented something which those who are traders in the market would now be familiar with. We introduced something called the pledge-repledge mechanism. What does that mean? It means that normally when an investor or a trader had to trade in the market, he had to post collateral with the exchange, right? It's margin. You have to post margin. This margin was usually placed with the broker, and the broker used to pool everybody's margins and give it to the exchange. Now, what we found was that there are bad apples in every basket, and there were some brokers who were misusing client securities. How were they misusing it? Either they were taking the client securities, collateral, and the fellow was not a regular trader, but the securities are in the control of the broker, so he was using it to pledge to an NBFC, taking a loan and giving it to his real estate company. Okay. The other kind of misuse of client securities is in SEBI, we used to call it the Peter-Paul problem. So Peter and Paul are both traders. Peter right now doesn't have a position. Paul has a position. Peter's collateral is being used for Paul's position. Now, if Paul defaults, Peter's securities will go. That's not on, right? You're saying, I didn't even trade. Peter's saying, I didn't even trade. But my securities are gone because the broker mechanism was such. So first there was a lot of debate, let us inspect the brokers better, let us get them to do better reporting, yevo. Finally, SEBI said, look, this is not going to work. And now we have technology on our side. These processes are old, again, Baba Adam processes. In today's world, where is the need for pooling at all? So let the securities continue in the client's account. It continues to sit there. It is pledged in favor of the broker and then repledged in favor of the exchange. And should Paul, in this case, default, only his securities will be touched and Peter will not be impacted. And in any case, since the securities are not lying with the broker, there's no question of his, as I said, using that to get money and siphon it off. So this was a huge technology change in the entire market. Okay, it's never been done anywhere else in the world, ever. Ever, ever, ever. And we did it in India. So today, in terms of margin protection, protection of client securities, there is nobody better in the world than India. So this is the power of technology. This is what we can do in terms of risk management for the investors at large. The other big use of technology, of course, is in terms of cost reduction. Now, you may imagine, why does SEBI worry about cost reduction, right? That's a business issue. Let businesses worry about it. But we do worry. The reason being that one of our important agendas is financial inclusion. And having been sitting in a corporate entity, it's very clear to us that financial inclusion, now, no matter how high a goal it may be, has to make economic sense for the corporate entity, right? They don't run for charity. They have quarterly results to deliver. So unless you bring down the cost, financial inclusion will not happen. And I think to that extent, at SEBI, we are quite delighted that we had introduced the concept of eKYC, which basically makes the cost of onboarding a new client very, very low. We had introduced it. It didn't really get that much traction until COVID happened. And now I think 92, 93% of all onboarding of clients is through eKYC, which means that costs have collapsed, and therefore businesses will just find it viable to go to tier 4 cities, tier 5 cities, even small clients, and ensure that there is more and more participation in the markets. Similarly, in terms of ease of doing business, this is again an important piece of our developmental role. And therefore, a lot of the work that we do in terms of process re-engineering is focused towards saying, how do we make it easier and easier for people to operate in the market? And for this, we have a number of advisory committees who guide us. Every segment of the market, they are the best and brightest minds in the country. They are very happy to be part of our committees. We have some very high decibel level meetings of those committees, and very, very valuable feedback comes to us through those committees. This is a slide that I want to talk about. You'll recognize what it is. It's just, simple data analytics. Don't even need more than, 10th standard math to understand this. But you'll be surprised at how even simple 10th standard math is now being used across the board in SEBI in everything that we do. I mean, I talked of surveillance and all of this, ease of doing business, risk management, etc. But even when we make policies, today the way that the culture has been built in SEBI, and now this is really, I would say, a call out to people who don't feel very comfortable with technology. Just imagine a sarkari daftar in SEBI like SEBI now. We don't breathe without data and without technology. So the future is all about that. So if you're not comfortable with it, you really need to make sure that you start getting comfortable with it, because it is the future, right? And as I said, sarkari daftar mein bhi ye haal hai, to baki to aap samajh hi sakte. So where do we use this? So in every policy decision that we take, we now do back testing. So if we were to implement this policy, what will happen? Who will scream and shout? Who will be impacted? And therefore, what do we need to do to mitigate that? If they are screaming and shouting because they're doing something wrong, then of course we will just ignore the screaming and shouting. In fact, tell them, yes, it's a jolly good thing you're screaming and shouting. But very often there are kosher reasons why somebody will be affected by a new policy. And therefore, giving people a glide path to comply, giving certain provisos in our regulations where certain kosher reasons for not being able to comply are provided for, all of this comes out from data analysis, which is very, very simple, 10th standard math kind of analysis. We use it extensively, and we use it to ensure that we understand who is going to be impacted by our regulations, and we understand it at a very granular level as to exactly which entity and for what reason is going to be impacted by what we are about to do. So policy making also has a huge requirement of data analytics now. And of course, as I said, the entire gamut of use of technology, sometimes we forget because, BPR used to be very exciting maybe a couple of decades ago, and people forget and they think, oh, this is now, old stuff. It's actually not, because everything that technology is doing today is basically re-engineering processes to manage those three important things of risk reduction, cost reduction, and ease of doing business. So at the core, it's really about re-engineering processes, not in an incremental tinkering sort of way, but in a very radical, eliminate the root cause of issues kind of way. And that's what, India is really using in terms of technology, and that's what makes us all so proud. And I would only say that every time that I'm in a meeting, with foreign FPIs, the investors, or with other regulators, the one thing that they all say to me is, you are so fortunate that, you have in your country a culture of data and technology use, and that is what is going to make you, so effective going forward. So it's a matter of great pride for us, and, it's an exciting space for us. And for any of you who might be thinking of doing an internship or a young professionals program somewhere along your career, we are a fun place to work. We also have our not so fun things that we do, but this stuff is really fun, and I would certainly invite any and all of you who have an interest in doing that to come join the SEBI team and to make India proud. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am, for a very informative lecture. Now, we have about 10 minutes with us to take on few questions. You can raise your hands, please. We'll just pass the mics.
Thank you, ma'am. Very interesting talk. Just reflecting on one of the comments, which we cannot agree more, that the job is not to catch the crook, but to make sure that they are complying. But in terms of the recommendations that you made, is there a danger that by disclosing the practices, which I agree the objective, but does it raise the bar or change the gear so that as you also mentioned, that the objective is not just to follow the letter of the law, but also the spirit of the law? Does it make it more complicated? The crooks will do it in a more complicated way that are even a good position to catch them over the, do it internally, etc.
That's, you should be in SEBI. So it is very much the danger, and it actually happens, and people's modus operandi becomes smarter and smarter. So for instance, earlier people used to be foolish enough to do insider trading in their own name. Then they realized, oh, SEBI catches us. So then they started doing in their mother, father, etc. name. Then they realized, oh, common surname also SEBI catches. Then they started doing in mother-in-law's name because, no, see, I'm serious. I'm serious. Then they realized, oh, now SEBI is able to connect mother-in-law also. Then Behnois became very popular. I'm serious, Behnois, right? Because there's no way you can connect your sister's husband, okay? So we were not able to do that. So then they figured, then we found that, okay, we can do through call data records. So, and see, when we pass an order, we have to justify how we've come to the conclusion that you've done something wrong. So then they realized, ye to call data records also these people look at. So if you spoke to your Behnoi, 50 times, then we know that, that's a problem. So then they moved to WhatsApp. Now WhatsApp is a problem. So then WhatsApp, then vanishing WhatsApp. So now that's a problem. So the reality is that the regulators, unfortunately, will always be one step behind, but hopefully not too many steps behind. So yes, we need to get there, and, the idea is to make it harder and harder and harder for people to do wrong things. But, greed is human nature. So there is no market, there's no place on earth where greed does not have a part to play. So it's just that it manifests itself a little more obviously in the markets. But then that's our job, and frankly, that's what keeps us young and makes us have a lot of fun. So we're good. We'll get there.
Let's give her the mic. Just one second.
Thank you for a very fascinating talk on a topic that's quite inundating to quite a few people. My question to you is the following. We evaluate firms' performance by market shares, students' performance by their GPOs, faculty's performance by publications. How does a regulator evaluate its own performance? Is there a way that you think about your own performance?
Yeah. So, the whole challenge in this is that the best test of a regulator is what did not happen. So it's very, very hard to say that, we did a good job because A didn't happen, B didn't happen, C didn't happen. I'll give you a quick example. See, we've all worried about cybersecurity, right? And we all ensure that our exchanges and our depositories and all that, have a good disaster recovery plan in place. But we know that the standard archetypal disaster recovery plans account for location downtime, hardware breakdown, network breakdown. But nothing accounts for software breakdown or contamination. Now, in a cybersecurity attack, it's your software that will get attacked. So through the transmission, your DR site will also get contaminated. So we worry a lot about this. Now, what have we done about it? We've actually gotten our two biggest exchanges to have in place a mechanism, and this is work in progress now. I think we'll go live by about March of next year, where you're now mitigating against software risk. So all the data of every client's position and collateral which is there on exchange A is online going and sitting in a storage box next to exchange B's system in their data center. If exchange A goes down, and if SEBI determines that this is on account of software attack, meaning a cybersecurity attack, and it's not going to be possible for their DR site to come up in time, SEBI will press the button for that data to be uploaded into exchange B's system, their software. Okay? And now every participant in the market can operate on exchange B as though he was operating on exchange A. This has never been done anywhere in the world, and we will be the first to do this. Now, when we assess ourselves and, certain specialists, like for instance, as I referred to the ISCO thing, the global this thing, when they come do their assessments, etc., they will say this is fabulous, this is, wonderful, first in the world, etc. But will people at large know? No, because when that cyber attack happens, and it will happen one day, right? We all know that. And when this system kicks in, we would have prevented something. Nobody will see it as, oh, something happened. No, it didn't happen, and that is our, success. So in this context, I would say that becomes a very big challenge. But what we do try when we do our own assessment, and our board does our assessment, broadly we look at three things. One is to say that we are responsible for, for regulation of the market. So is our regulation relatively up to date? Are we dealing with new and new modus operandi, and are we dynamic enough to deal with it? The second is enforcement, that are we passing the orders, getting the successes, etc., which we have to then modify. As I said, we've had some setbacks because the laws have not kept pace with our technology. So we now have to change that. So there are ways to do it, but I must say that it's very hard to quantify. And for a person who loves data, you can imagine that hurts me a lot. But maybe I should start documenting every wrong thing that didn't happen. Yeah, I think that's an interesting idea to do that. Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am, for this amazing talk. I think I enjoyed it quite a lot more than I thought I would. And no, I mean, honestly, like when you spoke about the data and you used technology, that was extremely nice. Ma'am, I was just wondering, like you said you're using technology, like you're bringing it in to track certain trades, mutual funds, etc. I was just wondering, like, how does SEBI use, the technology to track Ponzi schemes?
So this is a question not of technology, it's of the law. Ponzi schemes actually don't come under our jurisdiction. So there are 5 different pieces of regulation, and Ponzi schemes currently comes under something known as the BUDS Act, which is under the state governments. So it's not something that comes under our jurisdiction. If we become aware of something, because sometimes we get investor complaints, and then we redirect them to the relevant state government because they are covered out there. It's not our jurisdiction.
Thank you, ma'am, for a very interesting lecture. So you've spoken about how technology is being used by SEBI to prevent misconduct. But my question was around how do you think of the risks that technology itself brings? So I think one you've already talked about, which is cybersecurity. I had a couple of other kind of use cases in mind. So one is technology amplifies the power of certain individuals to influence markets. So Elon Musk might tweet something and it will change the share price, right? And this might be used for bad ends. Second is technology can also create inequalities. So we've had, algo funds and hedge funds in the US trying to shift their internet connections closer to the Wall Street servers. And I'm sure that's happening in Bombay also, to reduce the, lag times in their trades. This is a power that retail investors don't have. So this creates an asymmetry in, how fast their trades get executed. So how do you see SEBI's role evolving in to counter such kind of emerging threats?
So I think certainly SEBI has a role to play in this. In respect of, what are now called finfluencers, right? There is a line that needs to be drawn. So, for instance, supposing you are sitting at a dinner party and you are fairly conversant with the stock market and you give advice to your relatives, maybe there are 20 of them, gotten together. You give advice, you're also a finfluencer. You go online and you give that same advice and broadcast it free, so-called free. You're also a finfluencer. Now, the way that currently the regulation is that unless there is a contract, right? If you're simply saying something for free, it's freedom of speech. If somebody wants to listen, they listen. They don't want to listen, they don't want to listen. But if there is a contract between two people, that contract is something that a regulator can regulate. So without a contract, with your relatives, it's a social contract, but it's not a written contract. In the social media world, it is a different kind of social contract. So we have to draw a line, and therefore we have something called investment advisor regulation, research analyst regulation. So the minute there is a contract and a consideration, then it comes under our purview, and we take numerous steps to regulate that. You may have seen most recently that we put in place a regulation to say that any algorithms which people are promoting for retail investors, you cannot display past performance or any track record because you have not proven it to SEBI or to the exchanges that this is the past performance. Unlike a mutual fund who, when they display past performance, it is audited and proved, and there is disclosure to back up that performance. In the case of algos, there is no such thing. So we've told the industry that we are open. The day that you come up with a mechanism, and we are ready to support you, to do that, we are happy for you to do that. But until then, you cannot show any kind of performance. Now, if somebody on the basis of description wants to use your algo, most welcome. So we have to draw a line on that. Coming to the second point in terms of co-location, where retail investors don't have the benefit of co-location, first of all, that's not correct. So we ensured that these stock exchanges permit not just individuals to buy a rack at the co-located with their servers, but also to permit aggregators of demand to have a rack. So if 50,000 retail investors say that they want their trades to be co-located, then they can go to a demand aggregator and say, I want to do my trade from colo, and they can do it. So we ensured that that happened, that people, if they wanted, they could have access. But my question would be a little bit different, that colo and that nanosecond timing is used really for people who are doing high-frequency trading. Now, is it the intention of a retail investor? Because he's hopefully a buy and hold for a reasonable period of time, and he's not playing the market, trading the market in nanoseconds. If he's playing the market in nanoseconds, he's not an investor, he's a trader, this must be his profession. Then he has various avenues, as I said, to also co-locate. But I do not believe that a retail investor who's buying a share today, buying Infosys today to hold, for the next 5 years, I don't think it's really a disadvantage for him. And in any case, if a person is in Bombay versus in Guwahati, that difference is also there. So for a retail investor, it shouldn't make much of a difference. But if you're a high-frequency trader, you have the ability to come in.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we will take this opportunity to honor our chief guest with an IMB memento. We will request our board member, Mr. Ranganath, to the honors, please. Now is the time for Thanksgiving to all the faculty and staff who have done extended years of commitment to the service to the Institute. We request Dean Faculty to the honors for the faculty, please. Can you know the slides? The foundation for any great academic institution is its faculty body. And at IIM Bangalore, we are privileged to have 109 of the best. Our faculty actively participate in research, teaching, and service, and excel in all three dimensions. Last year, for example, our faculty published about 35 journal publications in some of the top-tier journals in the world. They conducted about 5,300 executive education program sessions, offered 152 electives, and graduated 22 PhD students. I would like to thank our faculty for their excellent performance and service. Today, we celebrate the service of 4 of our colleagues who exemplified this excellence. And I would request our board member, Mr. Ranganath, to hand over the mementos. Let me start with congratulating Professor M.S. Sriram for completing 10 years of service at IIMB. Professor Sriram joined IIM Bangalore in 2012. He offers very popular courses in public policy analysis, rural banking, financial inclusion, business, government, and society. His research interests, and he's one of the leading exponents in financial inclusion, microfinance, cooperatives, livelihood, and poverty. Currently, Professor Sriram serves as the chairperson of the Center of Public Policy. I believe Professor Sriram is unable to make it today, but congratulations to him. We'd like to congratulate Professor Shainesh on completing 20 years of service. Professor Shainesh joined IIM Bangalore in 2001. His courses include marketing management, customer relationship, advanced marketing management. His research focuses on digital marketing strategies, CRM, services marketing and services innovation. Professor Shainesh currently serves as the chairperson of the Executive Education Program at IIMB. He formerly served as the Dean Administration. Congratulations, Professor Shainesh. I believe he's unable to make it today. I'd like to congratulate Professor Rahul De for completing 20 years of service at IIM Bangalore. Professor Rahul De joined IIM Bangalore in 2002. He offers courses in artificial intelligence, applications for managers, ICT for development, among other courses. His primary research interests are in the field of AI, ethics, e-government service, open source, digital payments, telemedicine, and ICT for development. Professor De currently serves as the Dean Programs, and he has formerly served as chairperson of the OIA, member of the IMB board, as well as the Faculty and Development Evaluation Committee. Congratulations, Professor De. I would request Mr. Ranganath to present the memento. I'd like to congratulate Professor Vasanthi Srinivasan for completing 20 years of service at IIM Bangalore. Professor Srinivasan joined IIM Bangalore in 1999. Her courses include Advanced HRM, Managing People and Performance, Organizational Behavior for Leadership. Her research interests are in multi-generations in workplace, women in management and boards, ethics in teaching in business schools, HRM and rapid growth in organizations, among other courses. She currently serves as the chairperson of digital learning and previously served as a member of the FDEC as well as the chair of the internal committee. Congratulations, Professor Vasan. I would request Mr. Ranganath to please present a moment.
Congratulations again to Professor Sriram, Professor Shainesh, Professor Rahul De, and Professor Vasanthi Srinivasan.
Now it's the time for thanksgiving to staff. We'll request Dean Administration, Professor Rajendra Mandi, to do the honors, please.
Thank you, Professor Chetan. I'm happy to announce the recipients of the service awards from our staff colleagues who are the backbone of this institute and every single recognition that we have received over the past few years. We have a total of 13 of our staff colleagues who are being recognized today, 3 of whom have served for 30 years, 1 person having served for 20 years, and 9 of them having served for 10 years to the Institute. So we will start with Mr. Harsha Kumar. Harsha Kumar works in the accounts department as a senior executive. Anyone who has interacted with him knows his easy smile and the work ethic that has earned him many good friends. Harsha, I request our esteemed board member, Ms. Kalpana Saroj, to please do the needful. Next, we have Mr. M. Janaki Ram, who has been with us since 2012. Janaki Ram right now is our facility manager, managing our infrastructure of MDC and various other facilities. Those of us who had the Foundation Day lunch, you should know that he has served more than 3,000 people yesterday. Janaki Ram. Next, we have Mr. Jairam P. Nair, who has been with us since 2012. He works as an assistant manager in the computer center. He is the one person who keeps us running in terms of what we have heard just a few minutes back in terms of our data and security issues. I now invite Ms. Kushbu Changani, who is again with us since 2012. Kushbu works with the Office of Disability Services as a coordinator, and this is one area which has been the thrust area for the Institute, and she goes out of her way to make our students feel comfortable. I request Mr. Madan Mohan Raj, who is the Chief Programs Officer. Mr. Madan Mohan is a CPO in the Office of Executive Education. He and his team have been working extremely hard even during the pandemic period to make sure that our EEP activities go uninterrupted. I invite Mr. Ramesh BC, who has again been with us since March 2012. Ramesh works in the audio-video section as an audio-visual assistant. Ramesh. After this coming next. Next, we have Dr. K.R. Ravikumar. Dr. Ravikumar has been with us since 2012, currently working as a senior resident medical officer, has played an extremely critical role in the past 2 years to keep the entire campus safe and healthy. I invite Ms. Savitri HD, who is right now working as a senior manager in our finance department. As a finance person, of course, an eye for detail, patience, and quiet efficiency is what characterizes Savitri. Savitri, please. The next person we have is Ms. Shilpa Putturamu, who has been with us again since 2012. She's worked in multiple departments in the past, in the EPGP and in the NSR pre-doc programs. Right now works at the doctoral program office as a project executive. The next person I would invite is a person who has been with us for 20 years at IIMB, Ms. Aruna Jaipal. She has been with IIMB since 2002, worked in the CPP before, and is currently with the Office of Career Development Services as a senior executive. The next three names I would invite are those who have been with us for 30 years. We'll start with Mr. Avdesh Kumar Tripathi, who has joined IIMB in 1992, currently works in the Hindi cell. Anybody who has been walking in the corridor, if you hear the word Namaste, you know for sure that it is Avdesh who has been greeting people. I would now invite Mr. P.G. Sarvanan, our Senior Executive in the Security Department. I don't think I need to say anything more about Sarvanan, but he is the one person who is there everywhere all the time. Next, we have G. Shashikala, again a senior colleague of ours with IIMB since 1991. As you can see, she has worked in several departments in the institute with a rich experience, starting with supporting the faculty officers, worked in the IIMB Management Review, CDoctor, PGPPM, and the PGP. Right now, she works with the Center for Public Policy as a senior executive. Shashikala. Thank you, and my congratulations to each of my staff colleagues who were the recipients today. Thank you.
Now, for the vote of thanks, respected Ms. Madhabi Puri Butch, Chairperson SEBI, members of Board of Governors IIM Bangalore, Mr. M.D. Ranganath and Ms. Kalpana Saroj, respected Director IIM Bangalore, Professor Hati Krishnan, our most valued guests, ladies, gentlemen, and dear students. It's my proud privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of the entire faculty and staff of IIM Bangalore, and on my own behalf, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to respected Ms. Madhabi Puri Butch, Chairperson SEBI, for taking her time off from her busy schedule and visiting IIM Bangalore to deliver the Foundation Day address and interact with the faculty, staff, and students. A big thank you to our members of our Board of Governors, IIM Bangalore, Mr. Ranganath and Ms. Kalpana Saroj, for being here amongst us today, among their busy schedule. Thank you, Mr. Ranganath. I'd also like to thank our director, Professor Hati Krishnan, for his valuable time and guidance, and all the faculty and staff for their time and effort to make this event a success. I would also like to thank all the students who enthusiastically took part in the event and honor the esteemed guests of IIM Bangalore. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to the administrative, IT, estate, AV, HR, and communication departments for all the support provided to make the event a grand success. Thank you. We'll request everyone to rise for the national anthem, being presented by our PGP students, Vinod and Sagarika.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव तव शुभ नामे जागे, तव शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तव जय गाथा, जन गण मंगल